Welcome to Likutei Sichos, Project Likutei Sichos, Chelek Yud Gimel, Masei Beis, page 122. This is actually the very last Sicha of Chelek Yud Gimel. So those that learned the whole Krach will be making a siyum in Mitzvah here this week on the entire Chelek. Ala Posik Tzav es B'nei Yisrael v'amarta aleim gomer. This is the land that will fall for you as a portion. This is the land and its borders. So the Torah in this week's parsha, in Parshas Masei, tells us the borders of all the sides of Eretz Yisrael. Rashi here explains, on these words, Rashi says, there are many mitzvahs. They can only be performed in Eretz Yisrael, and they can't be performed outside Eretz Yisrael. So the Torah has to tell us the lines of the borders of all the sides of Eretz Yisrael, to let you know that within these borders is where all these mitzvahs that are only in Eretz Yisrael can be fulfilled. Outside, you don't have those mitzvahs. So Rashi is seemingly just telling us the purpose of the Torah, telling us the borders of the land of Eretz Yisrael. Why does the Torah have to let us know the exact borders? So Rashi says the purpose is to know where the mitzvahs that are done only in Eretz Yisrael can be fulfilled. If that's the case, the Rebbe says we have the following questions. Aleph, first question is, Minale le Rashi, how does Rashi know this? Rashi explains everything in the pshat of the pasuk. The only reason the Torah is telling us the borders of Eretz Yisrael, kaidim kibusha, even before the Yidden conquered the land, so that Yidden should know a while later, after they will conquer the land. To conquer the land, it took the Yidden 7 years to conquer the land fully. So the Torah is telling them now, many years before, what's going to be relevant for them. Many years later, what are the places that the mitzvahs that can be performed only in Eretz Yisrael? Well, how does Rashi know that's the pshat? It's unlikely that David is saying something now that will only be relevant much, much later in time. Simply, you would say the pshat here is Hutzrach Lichtev Gvulei Haaretz V'Negeya Inyan HaKibush Atzmai. The Torah is telling them now to know the borders of Eretz Yisrael, to know regarding the land that they're going to be conquering. What exactly are they going to be conquering? Leidat, to know Ad Hechanem HaGvulim Shal Nachlasam Ba'eretz Canaan Shaleim L'Kaifsha. What are the borders? How far should they be conquering of Eretz Yisrael? That's something which is relevant right now, and that's a simple pshat of the pasuk of why they didn't have to know the borders. So why is Rashi telling us that the Eibishter is telling the Yidden the borders? Only because of the mitzvahs that they have to perform in Eretz Yisrael. The second question here is, if you look into the words of Rashi, Rashi seems to be saying this in a very long-handed way. What's the length and the redundancy in the words of Rashi? Many mitzvahs are only performed in Eretz Yisrael. And then Rashi adds, and they can't be performed out of Eretz Yisrael. It's pretty obvious. I mean, if it could only be performed inside Eretz Yisrael, so it can't be performed outside Eretz Yisrael. And then Rashi adds even more. And inside these borders, that's where the mitzvahs can be performed. Again, Rashi repeats it again. Rashi should have said in short, concisely. Many mitzvahs can only be performed in Eretz Yisrael. So the Torah tells me the lines of the borders around to know where the mitzvahs can be fulfilled. That's all. The whole redundancy, the rest of Rashi's words are l'chayda, not necessary. Gimel, another question here is, Rashi is coming to explain the reason why the Torah tells us the borders. What's the relevance of these borders? Hare move on. If that's what Rashi is coming to address, so it's understood. Shepirish zeh shayach v'negeya gam u'be'ikeh l'tevas l'gvulei seha. Rashi's pirish is coming to explain, and primarily the word l'gvulei seha, the borders. What's the relevance of the borders? Shebesiyam ha'pasik, which only comes at the end of the pasik. However, v'Rashi maitik atevos zoi sa'aretz asher tipoi lechem. Rashi is saying his pshat on these words, Zay Sarat Ashatipah Lechem. Shalachayre Eilem Shaychis Ikris Lepirushay. They're not as important for the pshat that Rashi is saying. V'tevas Lekvulei Seha, the word, the borders, which is the main thing Rashi is addressing. What's the relevance of these borders? Da Lokoi, the words of Rashi refers to this. That Rashi just hints by writing V'gaimer, referring to the end of the pasuk. Why did Rashi not bring the word Gvulei Seha and say his pshat on that word to explain the relevance of the borders? The Rebbe always teaches us in the Rashi that the Dibura Maschal of the Rashi, the words Rashi chooses to bring from the Chumash, is the key to understanding what it is about the pasuk that Rashi is coming to address. And as we'll see here, the same is true as well. Achakach, moving on in the same pasuk in the next Rashi. Maitik Rashi as is tipoi lachem. Rashi brings the two words of tipoi lachem from the pasuk and mefarish, and he explains al shem shenis Halqa begoidel, because the way they divided the portions of the land was done with a goidel, with a lottery. Nikras Halqa lashon nefila. The terminology used here in the pasuk that it will fall to you. The terminology is used because that's how it's done with a Guile. When you take the pieces of paper for the Guile and you place them down sort of into a pot or into a plate, and that's how you make the Guile. So the expression of tipoil, of to fall, is used in connection to the Guile, to the lottery. That's the pshat of the word tipoil here. In the Medrash it says that the meaning of tipoil is not something else. Al yidei shehipul HaKadosh Baruch Hu Sareim shel shiva umais min hashamayim. The Eibishter brought down the ministers of 7, or actually the Rebbe says perhaps 70, of the 7 or 70. Here the Rebbe says it says 70 in other places, but we're talking about the 7 nations in Eretz Yisrael. The Eibishter brought them down. The Kofsan lefnei Moshe, and he subdued all of them in front of Moshe. And the Eibishter says to him, Re'ei, look, ein bem oid koyach. They have no energy to fight against you. I have subdued them all under your control. That's what Tipoil over here means, the Eibishter showing Moshe Rabbeinu that the Yidden will be able to conquer Eretz Yisrael. So what's the simple pshat of this Rashi? The Pashtus, Kavanasa shel Rashi liyashiv haloshen Tipoil lachem. As we can clearly see, Rashi is addressing these two words, Tipoil lachem, which is unusual seemingly, that the land will fall to you. What does this mean, that the land will fall to you? Eich masim loiman nefila b'shayches la'aretz. What's the term of falling regarding the land that Yidden will inherit or conquer? Haaretz, and Rashi explains the two pshatim, either al shem shenis Halqa begoidel nikras lashon nefila, it's because of the goidel, and then the second pshat as well, so Rashi is coming to explain the term of falling. So here the Rebbe has two basic questions. Number one, Aleph, Lepirish Rashi. The way Rashi explains this. Haaretz, Asher Tipoil, Lachem. So what does Rashi say? What does this mean? Hanishin Halqa al Yidei Apolas Goydel. It's divided by throwing the lottery. Dovar Shaloi Huske B'Kos of Zeh. Is there any hint about a lottery, about a goydel that was done here in this pasuk? No. So if so, why not interpret the words Haaretz asher tipoi lachem in its simple meaning? This is the land that's going to fall to you. What does that mean? She'aretz, the land, Eretz Canaan, tipol biyetchem, b'rishuschem. That this land will fall into your possession. That the Eibishter will give you the portion of the land as a possession. Of course, we don't physically mean that the land falls. The land doesn't fall anywhere. But it'll fall into your hands, that you'll conquer the lands in your possession. That's a pretty easy way out to explain the pasuk. Explaining it in this way, the term nefila, falling, can be used even regarding the land itself. Just as Rashi employs this term of nefila regarding the goydel. Right? Even though a goydel is not about a nefila either, but the way the goydel happens is you throw the lottery. So the same thing over here we could say regarding the land itself, in the simple pshat, that the land will be thrown into your possession. So why does Rashi have to go away from the simple pshat of the pasuk? Another basic problem here is, as usual, when Rashi brings two interpretations, Lama maybe Rashi Pirasheni mi Medrash Agoda. Why does Rashi bring a second pshat from the Medrash? Saying Rashi only brings a second pshat, not because Rashi is a compilation of Medrashim. Rashi brings a second pshat only if there's some difficulty with the first pshat he brought. In this case, the pshat that he brings from the Medrash about the Eibishter bringing down the ministers, the malachim of the seven nations in front of Moshe is far from the simple pshat of the pasuk. So, what detail here in the meaning of the pasuk will be better understood according to the second pshat? That's not understood according to the first pshat, that the land was divided by lattery, and that's the term of tipa. So those are the questions that we have here on these Rashis. First, the Rebbe is addressing the first Rashi, what's Bechlal, the point of the borders. So Rashi tells us the point of the borders are for the Mitzvos. So the Rebbe tries to understand, where does Rashi in the simple pshat of the pasuk come to such a conclusion? Why does Rashi not want to say that you need to know the borders, to know how far they're going to be conquering the land, to strategize regarding coming and conquering the land? And in the second Rashi, again, Rashi also goes away from the simple pshat. Haaretz asher tipa lechem. Rashi does not say that it refers simply to the land that will fall into their possession. Why does Rashi create a new pshat and even bring a second pshat? So the pshat over here and all of this is as follows. If the intention of the Eibishter telling the Yid about the borders of the land was so the Yidden should simply know what's part of the Eretz Yisrael, the land that they were promised that they're going to be conquering, and that's part of the area that they have to conquer, what's outside those borders, and therefore they won't be conquering this. If it's just that the Eibishter intends with letting the Yidden know regarding conquering the land, so then Havalela Meimar, the pasuk should have used a much shorter lashon. Should have simply said, Zois nachlaschem, this is your portion, be'eretz Canaan l'gvulei seha. These are the borders. The Sulai, that's it. So that when it's ume'acha she'oime gam, the pasuk adds and says, Zois ha'aretz asher tipay lechem, that will fall to you, shemeisif inyan nisinasa, the Torah is explaining how it's going to be granted to you, uba'oifin shal tipay lechem. And the Torah also describes how it's going to be granted, and that is that it falls into your possession. What is the meaning when you say to somebody, this is going to fall into your possession? It means, mibli pu'ula mitzitchem. What we're focusing on over here is that this comes to you without any effort of your own. It just falls into your possession. That's the way the Torah chooses to describe how the Yidden are going to get the land. So the Torah is not focusing on the portion of the land that the Yidden are going to conquer, what the Yidden are going to do in order to conquer the land. The Torah chooses to add these words which are totally extra. And what does it describe it as? It's going to fall into your possession. It's going to happen without anything on your part. It's a gift, and it falls like from heaven. It falls into your possession. This detail, that it's a gift from the Eibishter, that it falls into your possession, is not at all relevant if all the pasuk was telling you over here is that you didn't have to know up until where are the boundaries that they're going to be conquering the land. Rather, the pasuk is focusing on the Eibishter, that he chose to give it as a gift to the Yidden. If so, if that's what the pasuk is focusing on, so it's clear mizeh from this, there's another detail here that the Torah wants us to know about the borders of the land, which is relevant for the Eibishter's choice to give the land to the Yidden. Why did he choose to give that it should fall into the hands of the Yidden? The obligation for Yidden to be aware and know what the borders of the land is, it has to be something that's relevant for the choice that the Eibishter made to give the Yidden this gift. It's not just about the borders that the Yidden are going to be conquering, but it's tipa lechem. The pasuk here is coming to tell us something that's relevant to the Eibishter's gift that comes from above. Why is the Eibishter giving us this gift? That's one detail that Rashi is coming to address. The Rebbe points out another detail here, kosher kitzas, there's somewhat of a question here. If we would accept the simple pshat of the pasuk, the superficial simple pshat of the pasuk, which is that the reason the Torah lets us know the borders of the land is just to let you know what to strategize, what is the portions of the land, what is the borders of the land that you didn't have to conquer. That's the case. Isn't this something that's relevant to say to Yeshua? We already learned before, Moshe Rabbeinu will not be leading the Yidden into the land. Yeshua is the one that ultimately came with the Yidden and led the Yidden into Eretz Yisrael. He's the one that conquered the land. So it's to Yeshua that this command is relevant, knowing to know what you have to conquer in the land. So why is this being said here and now to Moshe Rabbeinu? Now the Rebbe clarifies what he means to say by this. In other words, Sha'af al pi, although it would be understood, Shahadibur, that this that Eibush is speaking here about the borders of the land, even if it's speaking about these borders as it's relevant to conquering the land, Kechala Dibras, like everything else that the Eibush says, Hayat Tzarech Liyos Lim Moshe, the Eibush says everything to Moshe, and as the Rebbe brings in the Haaretz 13, that even those things that are relevant to Aaron or to others, the Eibush speaks to Moshe Rabbeinu, and Moshe Rabbeinu repeats it to Aaron HaKohen. But nevertheless, the pasuk here should have said, when the Eibush speaks to Moshe, the Eibush should have said to Moshe, Tzavas Yeshua. This is something that you should command Yeshua about. This is relevant to Yeshua, for him to know the borders of the land that he'll be conquering. Why was Moshe here commanded Tzav as Bnei Yisrael? That the borders are relevant and he should tell all the Yidden about these borders. Tzav as Bnei Yisrael v'amarta aleim v'kaimer. Mi'achar she'ein zeh dovra mosr liyad kol echad ve'echad mi'Yisrael. If it's about conquering the land, this is not something which is relevant to every single one of the Yidden. As the Rebbe points out in the Ha'ara, for the most that would be relevant to the rest of Yidden would be to those that are going out, or those generals of the army that have to strategize how to conquer the land. It's important to include them in this as well. But why is the Eibush speaking to all of Klal Yisrael? He's telling Moshe, repeat this, relate this to all of Yidden. If it's just about conquering the land, he should be speaking to Yeshua or to the generals of the army, not to all of Klal Yisrael. So that's another Kitzas Kasha that Rebbe says, somewhat of a question here on the pasuk. So therefore Rashi tells us the reason the Torah is telling us the lines of the borders around Eretz Yisrael, all the details of where the border runs, this is for the purpose of the mitzvahs that will be fulfilled only in the land. All Yidden have to know the borders to know where the obligation of the mitzvah applies. So as the Rebbe said before, in other words, we're not talking about the Yidden only, about the Yidden conquering the land and knowing what the borders are, but it uses the term tipol, which is the gift that the Eibishter gives, and the pasuk here is using this term tipol, the gift, to tell us that these borders are relevant to explain the choice of the Eibishter to give this gift to Yidden. He's giving the gift to the Yidden for the Yidden to fulfill the mitzvahs there. That's why the Torah is telling us the borders there. And this also answers the second point that Rebbe raised here. Why is the Eibishter speaking to all Yidden and not to Yeshua, and not telling Moshe to speak to Yeshua? So now we understand why the Eibishter speaks specifically to Moshe to tell him the borders. Just as it is with all mitzvahs and all their details. Including those mitzvahs that could only be fulfilled in Eretz Yisrael. They were said and they were given over to Yidden all through Moshe Rabbeinu. So the same is true now that we know that the borders are not just for conquering Eretz Yisrael, but it's connected to the Tipoi Lachem, the Eibishter's purpose in giving this land, to fulfill the mitzvahs there. Prat, v'tnai, ikri, b'kiyam, mitzvahs atluyas ba'aretz. So this is all details of how and when, the space of where you fulfill the mitzvahs. So this detail as well, the borders, is not simply talking about the physical line of the borders. It's talking about the space where the mitzvahs are fulfilled. It's a detail in a mitzvah. It's a detail in a mitzvah. All mitzvahs were taught to Yidden through Moshe Rabbeinu. So now based on this we can understand the key, the Dibra Maschel of the Rashi. Why does Rashi not bring the word L'Gvulei Se'er from the Pasuk? So the answer is, the main pshat of Rashi hu l'dayik, shehutzrach lichtov matzrane Gvulei Ruchisecha, the Torah is telling you the lines of the borders, that it wasn't only for the purpose of knowing where they're going to conquer, it's for the purpose of even to know where the mitzvahs will be. What brings Rashi to this conclusion? It's from these words, as we explained before. Rashi wouldn't bring the word L'Gvulei Seha and explain this. The word L'Gvulei Seha, there's no problem with that word. Simply, Gvulei Seha is just telling us the physical borders to know where they're going to conquer the land. But when the Torah writes, Tipa Lachem, that it's the Eibishter giving it to them, it falls into their possession from the Eibishter, that's what leads us to this new pshat, that the borders of Eretz Yisrael are relevant for the fulfillment of the mitzvahs in the land. Beautiful. So now the Rebbe comes and explains the arichis of Rashi's Lashon. As the Rebbe pointed out, Rashi speaks in terms that seems to be redundant. But there's a question that still remains here. There was land on the other side of the Yarden, on the west of the Yarden, before they crossed into Eretz Yisrael. Kifshua b'nei Yisrael. The Yidden conquered this territory as well. V'nasis Eretz b'nei Yisrael. It also became a land that belonged to the Yidden. Ukemufurish kfar, as we learned before in Parshas Matos, the Eiver HaYarden hi nachlaseinu eleinu. It's part of the inheritance. It's part of the portion of the land of Yidden. Shel b'nei Gad v'Ruven, from Shevet Gad and Ruven. Just like the other Shvatim received their portion on the other side of the Yarden, so Bnei Gad and Reuven received their portion on this side of the Yarden before they even crossed over. If that's the case, so the borders here of this portion should also be clarified to know where the Shvatim that are here on this side of the Yarden, where they're going to be fulfilling the mitzvahs. So if Rashi is telling us that the only reason the Torah tells us these borders is to clarify the place of the mitzvahs, so then it's incomplete. What's with the place that they conquered and they have here on this side of the Yarden? They have to know where's the mitzvahs that they have to fulfill. What are the borders of the place that they fulfill the mitzvahs here? So, Dhaka, according to Rashi's pshat, this question comes up. If you would learn the simple pshat, that the only reason it tells us about the borders is to know in the future where they're going to be conquering the land, that's not relevant for the space here in Eiver HaYarden, which they already conquered. But according to Rashi, that the Torah is only telling us the borders to know the place where they're going to fulfill the mitzvahs. So to complete that story of where the mitzvahs are fulfilled, you have to also include Eiver HaYarden as well. So to answer this, Rashi adds and emphasizes, but he doesn't stop there. We're talking here about mitzvahs that are not relevant, cannot be fulfilled outside Eretz Yisrael. It's only within these borders of Eretz Yisrael, on the eastern side of the Yarden, that's where the mitzvahs can be fulfilled. So what Rashi is telling us with this is, according to simple pshat of the pasuk, in fact, only within Eretz Yisrael, on the other side of the Yarden, is where all the mitzvahs of Eretz Yisrael apply. Not outside Eretz Yisrael. What's Rashi coming to clarify? Not even in the Eiver HaYarden either, although to some extent they were conquered by the Yidden, and it had some kind of a status of Eretz Yisrael to some extent, but nevertheless, in Pshutei Shel Mikra, the mitzvahs hanoeges ba'aretz is only in Eretz Yisrael itself, and not in Eiver HaYarden. In the Haaretz, in Haaretz 20, there's a lengthy discussion or in many Mekaymis that the Rebbe points to, that al derech halacha, it's not so pashut. It depends, different opinions. The Rebbe brings from Rashi himself about this and others that discuss this regarding the relevance of mitzvahs hanoeg is ba'aretz and ever yarden. But in the pshat of the pasuk, since the Eibush is telling us these borders in Eretz Yisrael only to know where the mitzvahs are to be performed, and it doesn't tell us anything about the borders in Ever HaYarden, so we must say that in Ever HaYarden these mitzvahs can't be fulfilled. That's why the Torah doesn't bring it there. Now, based on this, the Rebbe goes on to the next Rashi. Al pikol anal yuva masham mamshech Rashi b'pirushai. The next Rashi follows along with the same theme. Al tipay lachem. The Rashi of tipay lachem. Umefarish. Al shem shenis Halqa begeirel nekras Halqa lashon nefila. Because it was done with a geirel, so the term nefila is used here. So the division of the land was done with a geirel, so therefore the term nefila is used. So based on what we learned before, the only reason the Torah is telling us here the borders, this is the place where the mitzvahs of Eretz Yisrael are fulfilled. And as we explained, what brought Rashi to this conclusion, those extra words, those unusual words that it says here, which means that it falls. It falls and comes from the Eibusha to the Yidden. This is a gift the Eibusha is giving for this purpose to fulfill these mitzvahs. A tremendous schos, a gift for the purpose to fulfill these mitzvahs. That's the whole point over here. So now based on this, the question arises, move on. Lama tafsa hatayra b'lashon tipa. So why would the choice of words here, why would the Torah use this word of tipail, that it will fall to you? In the simple translation of the word nefila, that it falls to you, it is a derogatory term, that it falls to you. It's something that is not positive. Why couldn't the Torah use a more positive term? After all, what are we trying to express here? The gift of the Eibishter, that the Eibishter gives you, and you don't have to do anything on your own. The Eibishter gives it to you as a gift, and you're going to be fulfilling mitzvahs there. V'lo yamar, and the Torah did not say in a more appropriate lashon, b'lashon asher tokum lechem. It will be raised up for you. Valderech mashanema, similar to what it says when Avraham Avinu buys the field for the Maras HaMachpelah in Parshas Chayesara, Vayokom Zdei Ephraim. When he acquires the field was elevated. The status of the field was elevated, that it entered into Avraham's possession. So why don't we say the same thing here? That the Eibishter will be asher tokum lechem. The Eibishter will elevate the status of the land in order to fulfill mitzvahs there. Why use this term tipoil when we're trying to express the gift that the Eibishter gives Yidden? So the Rebbe clarifies again that this is only a question according to the way Rashi explains the pasuk. If we were to say that the Torah here is telling us the borders of the land, just to know technically up until where they're going to be conquering the land, so then we could say, the term tipol here just means that it's going to fall into your possession. So in other words, according to the simple pshat, before Rashi comes along and clarifies what the pshat is, we would say that the Torah is not coming to talk about the special gift of Hashem, the special schus to do a mitzvah. It's talking about where you're going to be conquering. So it uses that possession. Like when you conquer something, you conquer it from your enemies and it falls into your possession. So the term tipol is appropriate. We already said before that that's not what tipol lechem means. That I've explained before already, that tipol lechem are extra words. It's not necessary for Torah to write this at all. And therefore we say that the term tipol lechem is talking about something that comes from the Eibishter. That the Eibishter will give you this gift that will fall into your possession. If so, hapirish, the Zeus Haaretz asher tipol lechem, who should tipol v'tinasen lechem es HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that it's coming from the Eibishter. Shulcheini makim miyuchad lemitzvos she'ein neiges mechutz hala. It's a special designated place for these mitzvahs that are fulfilled only in the land. So then, so then the question comes up, as we said before, Lama nokat kra lashon nefila she'hepech kim b'aliyah. Why would the Torah choose such an expression of falling, that it will fall into your possession, the opposite of what you would expect when you talk about a gift and the holiness of the land and the greatness of the land, that you can fulfill mitzvahs there, using the term of kima, of aliyah, that the land will be raised up, the land will be elevated. Why this terminology? Yashiv Kushizu, so to answer this question, Mefarish Rashi explains, Sha'aloshem Tipa Lachem, we have to say that this choice of words, Tipa Lachem, will fall to you, since they divided the land with a Guile, this term is appropriate because it's used when you make a Guile. The term Tipail here is not talking about the fact that he didn't get the portion of the land in general. It's referring, the term Tipa refers to the division of the land. Dividing the land, not the conquering, but the dividing of the land was through a Guile. And it's only because the dividing happened with a Guile, the Torah chooses this term in relation to the way the land was divided. That's the pshat in this term here. And in the Ha'ara, the Rebbe adds, and the way the Guile happened also expresses the gift of the Eibishter, because this was an unusual Guile. This was a Guile that happened with Ruach HaKodesh, that the voice of the Eibishter spoke through the Guile. So therefore it's a continuation of this gift that the Eibishter gives. But now the Rebbe will explain why Rashi has to bring a second pshat. The problem with this pshat is the Harei the first section of this parsha, which this pasuk is speaking about the borders of the land, is talking about the entire land. It's not talking about the details of the division of the land for the different shvatim. Kiyim al kibush eretz Canaan kula, the borders of conquering the entire land. She nachlas kol Yisrael. This is the inheritance for all Yidden. Va'gvulois hem shebein klolos eretz Yisrael v'chutz la'aretz. The border that separates generally Eretz Yisrael from chutz la'aretz, not the borders between one shevet or another. V'imkein eichav shaloima. When the Torah here uses this expression of tipoil, lachem, who's the lachem? L'chol Yisrael, in the simple pshat, it's talking about all Yidden, the Torah is using this term tipoil in connection to the division of the land with each shevet, what each shevet received. But that's not the theme of what the Torah is talking about over here. The Torah talks about it later in the continuation of the parsha, but not over here. So why would the Torah use this term of tipoil, which is connected to the Guile and not to the entire land, which is what the theme is here? Another strong question here is, still the main question that we asked, that the Torah can use a positive term, remains. Even if you're going to say that it goes on the Guile, and therefore wants to use a term for Guile that's appropriate by Guile, it can still use a more positive term. This is what will come up to you. It's actually a term that's used by a Guile. The contrary. Aleph number 1, Dafke Loshen Zeh Kvar Lamadnu Begeirel the Yom Kippurim. By the Geirel and Yom Kippur and Pashas Achrei, it uses the Loshen of Tala, that it comes up. It's like when you make a Geirel, you take out the papers from the Guile, the name comes up. That's the term that can be used by a Guile as well. So even if the Torah wants to use a term that fits with a Guile, why not use a more positive term, since the theme of this pasuk is expressing the gift that the Eibishter gives for Yidden to be able to fulfill mitzvahs there. Beis, another point. We're not talking about the process of making the Guile, of throwing the lot. We're talking about the lottery. We're talking about taking out the papers from the lottery, taking it up, taking it out, and establishing the portions of the land according to the Guile. And when does that happen? So the Rebbe is very precise about this. When do you find out the names of who gets which portion? When you take out the papers from the Guile. Not when you throw the lottery, when you throw the papers onto the table. So it's more appropriate to use the term tala, when you take out the papers and you see the names. And the Rebbe brings a Kvar Pirish Rashi Benidin Didan. Rashi already says regarding the division of the land with the Guile. So what's the term that Rashi there uses? Vahagoirel shevet ploini oile The way they made the lottery, the way they made the Guile was they took out a name of a shevet, a name of a portion of a land, and then they opened them both up and they knew which portion he's going to receive. So what's the term Rashi uses? Oila. The term oila. So that's the term that should have been used over here. Even if the Torah wants to hint to the Guile, but it still should have used a positive term. Why? So the Rebbe concludes, to demonstrate with this word the elevation and the higher status that the land is gaining by the gift that the Eibush is giving Eden. After all, the theme of this pasuk is the gift that the Eibush is giving Eden and the mitzvahs that Eden can fulfill there. Even if for whatever reason the Torah wants to hint to the Guile as well, but it still should have chosen a term that fits into the theme of the pasuk, which is the matana that the Eibush is giving and elevating the land. So therefore, Rashi brings a second shot. Maybe Rashi pirish mi medrash Aguada. So Rashi brings the pshat from the medrash Aguada that says Shal Yidei Shehipil HaKadosh Baruch Hu Sareim Shal Shiva Umais V'Kofson Lefnei Moshe. The Eibishter brought down the ministers of the 7 nations of the land in front of Moshe Rabbeinu. So this is a positive thing. The word tipoil actually expresses what the Eibishter did to allow Yidden to conquer or enable Yidden to conquer Eretz Yisrael. Shal pizem yusheves haloshin tipoil gam b'negei l'klolos haaretz. And now this expression of tipoil does not only refer to the division of the land, of the shvatim, that comes later on in the parsha, but the word tipoil is actually relevant for right here regarding conquering the entire land, that the Eibush brought down all the 7 Sarim, all the 7 Malachim in front of Moshe Rabbeinu to be able to conquer the entire land. That's the second shot of Rashi. However, on the other hand, it's only the second shot. So this is not the better shot, this is the alternative shot. This second shot alone would not be enough. It's far from simple pshat on the pasuk. This is a medrash-like pshat. There is no actual hint in the pasuk for such a thing that happened. The Eibush brought down the malachim. There's the word tipal, because we have a problem with the word tipal. We interpret it this way, but it's far from simple pshat. There's no hint to this in the simple reading of the pasuk. That's the obvious thing that we see why Rashi brings this pshat second. Besides this, the Rebbe says, in addition, it's very difficult in the simple pshat of the pasuk to explain the word tipel this way. Aleph number 1, api medrash Aguada, according to this medrash, koi tipel al asar. The word tipel refers to what? The Eibush brings down the minister of the goyim that are in the land. Val pipshutish mikra, koi tipel lechem al zeisa haaretz. The tipel refers to the land, that the land falls into your possession. So it's very far from the simple pshat of the pasuk. Beis, pasuk nemar tipoil lashon Oster, that this is something that will happen in the future. Ubemedrash Aguada mefarish shehipol ba'avar, that the Eibush already in the past has brought down the ministers of the 7 nations in front of Moshe Rabbeinu. So it doesn't fit with the future tense and past tense in the language of the pasuk. Maybe Rashi pirish aleph. Rashi brings first his first pshat. That's the main pshat of the pasuk, that the word tipoil relates to the Guile that was done in Eretz Yisrael. That concludes the pshat over here in these 2 Rashis in the pshat of the pasuk, that the Torah here, the main theme of the pasuk is to tell the Yidden about the great gift of the Eibishter of the land and the mitzvahs that they're going to be able to fulfill in the land. This is the wine of Torah, the chassidus that we have in this, that we could see in this Rashi. Eretz, koyal knesses Yisrael. It says that the term land also refers to Yidden. There's a pasuk that says, Kisiu atem eretz Hayfitz. Yidden are the desired land. So when it says here, V'zois haaretz asher tipoi lachem, that the land will fall down, according to chassidus, we could actually use this in the simple sense that the land will fall. What does it mean a land falls? Koi al yiridas Neshamah lamata. The Neshamah is the land, that's the Eretz Hayfitz, the Eibish's desired land, that the Neshamah falls into this world. She yiridazu, this descent of the Neshamah, that it enters into this world. Mikivin she'ena b'seidav adrage. The Neshamah is not going from one level to another level that is connected to where it came from. It's going to a place that's totally unrelated, that's falling into a completely different reality. Kiya me'igre Rama. The expression the Gemara uses is coming from a high rooftop, Labella Mikta, falling directly into a deep pit. That's how far the descent of the Neshamah is, and even more, but this is the expression we have in our terminologies in this world. So this is the Neshamah falling, so to speak, into the world. So therefore the Torah here is using this term, that the Neshama of a Yid leaves its humble abode above, and it falls into the reality of this world here below. Rashi is hinting to us. Why does the Neshama enter in this world? What is it doing here? Or as the famous terminology that Chassidus always asks the question, Lama yarda Neshama lamata. Why does the Neshama fall from such a high place? There are many mitzvahs to be fulfilled in the land. Here in these borders you can fulfill mitzvahs. The intention, the purpose of why the Eibishter brings the Neshama to fall into this world is to fulfill the mitzvahs in action here in this world. It could only be fulfilled here in the land. And it's only possible only in the borders within this physical world. This is where you can fulfill mitzvahs. And that's why the Neshama is here in this world. Now through the Neshama coming here below, it fulfills these mitzvahs. So the question really ultimately still remains, okay, the Neshama here in this world could fulfill mitzvahs, but what is the Neshama gain by this? The question is on this itself. Above, the Neshama is in the presence of the Eibusher, in the highest, holiest place. What's the advantage over that in being here in this world, fulfilling mitzvahs? So the Rebbe says as follows: in addition to the fact the Neshama has a job to be done, even if it's not here to elevate itself, it doesn't gain anything. But the purpose, the real purpose of the Neshama entering into this world is to deal with the body, to elevate the body, and the Nefesh Bahamas, the animal soul of the Yid, to refine it and elevate it. That's the purpose of the Neshama, even if it doesn't gain anything on its own. Besides that, the truth is, because of a tremendous advantage that there is in the action of the mitzvah, the very action of the mitzvah has a tremendous connection that you form with the Eibishter. Besides the fact that you're dealing with the body and the Nefesh Bahamas, which is the purpose of what the Neshama is doing here. Put that aside for a moment. The very fact that you're doing a physical action of a mitzvah, this brings the Neshama to a much greater level, to a much higher place. More than whatever levels it was before it entered into this world. The Rebbe points here to the Alter Rebbe in Tanya Geras HaKedush Siman Chof, where the Alter Rebbe explains that the essence of the Eibishter is here in the action, in the physical, more than any revelations that the Neshama experienced in its place above. It's not here the place to go into the whole length about this, but the very action of the mitzvah brings the Neshama to a great elevation. But if so, the question remains, so if, when the Neshama falls into this world, and here it fulfills mitzvahs below, the Neshama now experiences an elevation. So why are we using this term of tipa, that the Neshama falls, if the Neshama enters into this world to get elevated to an even higher place? So the expression of, like the Rebbe said before, tala should be used to express not the fall of the Neshama, but to express the elevation of the Neshama, the purpose and the ultimate elevation that the Neshama experiences. So Rashi tells us that there's something else here, that in this word tipoil we will see dafka in this world, an additional thing that the Neshama gains by being in this world. Halqa Haaretz beGuile. This land is divided by the Guile. Nikra Halqa Lashon Nefila. That's why the term Nefila is used over here. Shebezer Nermas. The hint in this Rashi is as follows: Al Yidei Yeridas Neshama Lamata beGuf Nefesh Bahamas. Through the fact that the Neshama enters into this world and it gets engaged with working with a guf, with a body and the animal soul. She'ava v'Yirish b'Neshama. So now, the experience, the emotional experience of the Neshama, its love for Hashem, the awe for Hashem, it falls many levels, it's very far, that the Neshama had before it descended below. When the Neshama is Lamaila, in close proximity to the king, there in the presence of Hashem, with all the great revelations, the love and the awe of the Neshamah is very intense, very powerful. Here the Neshamah enters into a body that constrains it, enters into a Nefesh of Bahamas that has selfish feelings, and the Neshamah has to deal with that, so it constrains the love and the relationship that the Neshamah has with the Eibishter. That's the Nefila here. But Hine, Dafka Yedei Nefilazu, it's this challenge, and this, what the Neshamah has to deal with the experience of the emotions of the Guf and the Nefesh Bahamas. Magia, this yet brings the Neshamah to an even greater, another advantage the Neshamah has. Magia la aveda shalamayla mitam v'das. When you have to deal with such challenges, with such a reality of a Guf and a Nefesh Bahamas for the Neshamah, which is very difficult to deal with, so this brings deeper kaiches of the Neshamah, that it has to go beyond reason and logic, to be able to connect to the Eibishter, to be forceful, to fight back against the Guf and Nefesh Bahamas, or even not only against, but to elevate the Guf and Nefesh Bahamas. The Neshamah has to draw from deeper energies. Haba mebchinas Guile shebeneshama. And this concept of the powers of the Neshamah that's higher than reason and logic is referred to as the Guile of the Neshamah. Because just like when a person throws a Guile, he suspends his logic, he relies on whatever the lottery will tell him, and that's what he'll do. So the concept of a Guile is where a person has to suspend his logic, and he has to go forward with fulfilling a mitzvah, doing what the Eibishter wants, with his Guf, in his Nefesh Bahamas. That's the power of the Neshamah that's revealed here in this world. Hainu etzem Neshamah, it's the essence of the Neshamah that's revealed here in this world. So therefore Rashi uses, the Torah that is, uses this term tipoil to hint to us an additional maila that the Neshamah gains in the world. So we have over here three things that the Rebbe mentioned. The Neshamah comes into this world to deal with the Guf and Nefesh Bahamas and elevate them, to repair them and elevate them. Then there's the fact, the Masei, the action, has an extremely powerful connection to the essence of the Eibishter. And then it also reveals deeper energies within the Neshamah. The very essence of the Neshamah comes out when it has to overcome all these challenges, and that's the hint of Tipa. Mamshech Rashi, now based on this, the second shot of Rashi is not only a second shot, but it's a continuation in the same theme. So Rashi continues, the Eibishter brought down the ministers in front of Moshe, subdued them in front of Moshe. Meaning, Aleph Shalidei Kima Mitzvos Ba'aretz, through fulfilling the mitzvahs in the land. Fulfilling the mitzvahs in this physical world will take a lot of perseverance. You'll have to go beyond reason and logic. That the Guile, that part of your Neshamah that's beyond reason, is shining and is motivating you to serve the Eibishter, which is the first pshat of Rashi. So then through this, you come to this second pshat, Hine HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Mapil v'Kayfis Lefnei B'chinas Moshe Sheb'kol Echad V'Echad Es Kol HaMaynim U'Ma'akvim. The Eibishter will get rid of and bring down any opposition that there is to a Yid. The Moshe that there is in every Yid will experience this tremendous openness and freedom to be able to fulfill mitzvahs without being disturbed. Oz b'neikol, it'll be easy for a Yid that yuchal lichbei she'aretz v'lastis le'izbarach dira b'tachleinim, to conquer the land and to make it a dwelling for Hashem. She'oz kol ha'olam kula yeh b'dugmas Eretz Yisrael, then the entire world will be like Eretz Yisrael. She'einei avaya lekecha ba, the eyes of the Eibishter are upon the land. Mereishus Hashana, that Achris Shana, from the beginning of all times to the end of all times, the Eibishter is there, and He makes sure that you can fulfill mitzvahs. U'kamayma Chazal, and this refers to the entire world, as Chazal tell us, Asida Eretz Yisrael shetispashet b'chol ha'olam kulay, and Eretz Yisrael will be extended in the entire world.